was coached by Charles Comiskey's lawyer, Alfred Austrian, for about an hour and 45 minutes. And he told Joe, you need a lawyer and you need one damn bad. And Joe tried to get up and go to the door. And this is transcripts. There's transcripts from Austrian didn't take many notes. And that was very rare for him, too, because he was pretty detail oriented whenever he deposed anybody. And he didn't take many, but he did take enough to say that Jackson tried to go to the door, and he blocked the door so that Joe couldn't go get his own lawyer, because they knew Joe Jackson with his own lawyer, he's going to expose what Comiskey knew when he knew it, and they would have run Charles Comiskey out of Chicago on a rail. So they had to control Jackson, and they had to tell him, look, Joe, they're not going to believe that you weren't involved. You're going to have to say. You're going to have to say some things here that you may not like, but that's the only way you're going to get back into Major League Baseball. And Joe would have cut his right arm off to get back into Major League Baseball at that time. Not to mention, Joe had been drinking a little bit before he went before the grand jury. So I don't know if that had anything with some of the things he said. But now he answered some questions that I can't explain away. I'm not even going to try. They don't look good on Joe Jackson. But when they get to the meat of the thing about page 11 or 12 of that transcript, and they asked him, did you run the bases to win? And he said, yes. Did you hit to win? Yes. Did you throw the ball to win? Yes. Everything they asked him related to his play on the field, he answered yes. And I got to believe that he was telling the truth. Another thing you need to understand is when Joe sued the White Sox for back pay in 1924, those transcripts had been missing for all that time, since 1920, right before the trial in 1921. And they showed up in the briefcase of the lawyer for Charles Comiskey in 1924. And they had big X marks across the spots that lawyer was not supposed to visit. And one of them's up around page 11 or 12. They didn't want to say anything about him, trying to win. Another point is the foreman for that grand jury, his name was Bingham. They brought him to testify in 1924, and they asked him about Joe's testimony, and he said no one on that grand jury panel thought that was Joe confessing to anything. It sounded more like a story that a man heard on the streets, and he didn't ever believe that Joe had anything to do with it. It sounded like a scripted thing to them. So, I don't know what else I can add to it.